Okay, Assalamualaikum and a very good day. I'm Siti Rayu binti Muhammad Razi. We present paper titled Trust in Government as a Mediating Variable Between Public Service Satisfaction and Tax Compliance. So the other author of this paper is Shatila Cik Saruji, Raihana Muhammad Ali, Nid Nazirah, Nid Muhammad. Okay, so let's go to the background of the study. Okay, so citizen here and government has a contractual relationship that require both parties to fulfill their mutual obligation. So the government provides citizen with public service while citizen will pay tax to ensure that the government resources are adequate to cover all of the country development costs. And citizens who are pleased with public service have a higher degree of trust in government, and it is difficult to create trust in government when public service are not running properly, since a good public service automatically lead to trust in government and vice versa. Okay, what is public service satisfaction? According to the previous study, public service satisfaction can be defined as citizen perception on the quality of goods and service that are provided by the government, and it was found that the degree of public trust in government is affected by the degree of satisfaction with public service and government performance. Okay, so this is the literature review that arises in this study, which is between trust in government and public service satisfaction. The second one, public service satisfaction and tax compliance, and trust in government with the tax compliance. So, because of the lack of study that examine the relationship between public service satisfaction and trust in the government and its effect on the tax compliance, so we come up with this problem statement. Okay, so this is the research hypothesis that will be tested in this study. Okay, there are 4 hypotheses that arise based on this research framework. Okay, whereby the public service satisfaction will act as independent variable, tax compliance will be act as dependent variable, and trust in government will be act as mediator. Okay, so as mentioned, this is the hypothesis position within the research framework. Okay, so we go first to the first hypothesis that will be tested in this study, which is between trust in government and public service satisfaction. Okay, is there any positive relation between public service satisfaction and trust in government? And the second one is public service satisfaction has a significant positive influence on trust in government. And the hypothesis number 2 is between the trust in government and the tax compliance. Is there any positive correlation between trust in government and tax compliance? And trust in government has a significant positive influence on tax compliance. Okay. And the third hypothesis that will be tested in this study is between public service satisfaction and the tax compliance. Okay, is there any positive correlation between public service satisfaction and tax compliance? And public service satisfaction has a significant positive influence on tax compliance. And the last hypothesis is hypothesis number 4. Okay, so to test the hypothesis number 4, okay, this study employed Barron and Kenny 1986 measurement, and all these 4 conditions must be met in order to determine the mediator status of trust in government. Okay, so this is the hypothesis number 4. Trust in government mediates the relationship between public service satisfaction and the tax compliance. Okay, so research method that employed in this study, okay, is based on the survey questionnaire. Okay, it was conducted for data collection, and the questionnaire was disseminated via email and WhatsApp, and all data collected from respondent in Google Form was exported as an Excel master file for importation into SPSS. And since this information is collected during the Movement Control Order MCO period, so this is the most appropriate method, as traveling or meeting in person was prohibited. Okay, and the final data set contained 255 valid cases. Okay, so let's go to the result, okay, based on the Pearson correlation coefficient analysis. The empirical evidence in the finding of this study indicate that all tested hypotheses demonstrated a positive correlation except of H3A. Okay, and this indicate that an increase in one variable correlate with an increase in another variable and vice versa. Okay, H3A is not significant correlated because the p-value is greater than 0.05, meaning that the correlation is not statistically significant and should not rely upon the Pearson coefficient. It's probably a correlation that might not even exist. Okay, consequently, H3A not supported. Okay, and based on the Barron and Kenny 1986 measurement, public service satisfaction and tax compliance were partially mediated by trust in government, as all of the tested hypotheses was positively correlated with one another, with the exception of H3A. Okay, condition number 3, even though H3 not supported, many experts, okay, have argued that the direct relationship between the independent variable and the dependent variable, it can be overlooked. Okay, from this perspective, mediation analysis could make sense even in the absence of relationship between X and Y. Okay, therefore, H4 was supported. Okay, and then based on the table number 2, okay, estimated regression, equation, and hypothesis testing, okay, all of the tested hypotheses had a significant positive effect. Okay, it is displayed by H1B, H2B, and H3B. All of these hypotheses was supported. Okay, so in conclusion, based on the Pearson correlation coefficient analysis, the empirical evidence in the finding of this study indicates that the exception of 3A, hypothesis 3A, all tested hypotheses demonstrated a positive positive correlation. So this indicates that an increase in one variable correlate with an increase in another variable and vice versa. And in addition, this study employed the methodology of Barron and Kenny 1986 to examine the mediator relationship between public service satisfaction and tax compliance. And then, based on the estimated regression equation, it was determined that all of the tested supporting hypotheses had a significant positive effect. Okay, it is visible when H1B, H2B, and H3B have been supported. Okay, that's all. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.